Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me today for this brief presentation on protecting your smartphone. My name is Mark Bautis. I'm a financial advisor and owner of Bautis Financial. One of the most common cybersecurity questions I get from people is about protecting your smartphone from hackers. It makes sense that this is such a hot topic since our cell phones have gone from devices that could only make calls to essentially mini computers that we can fit into our pockets. They hold nearly all of our personal information and often our work data as well. They're a goldmine for hackers, and it's incredibly important that we're protecting these devices correctly. So today, I'll be going over 8 things you can do that will make your smartphone more secure. Jared Kenna was working late one night when he received notification that the passwords on 2 of his email accounts had been changed. He then attempted to reset the passwords himself, worrying that someone had control over his account, but never got the text message code he needed to complete the reset. So he calls his phone company to make sure that he paid his bill on time, thinking that may be the reason why he didn't get the text message. But they tell him, you don't have a phone with us. You transferred your phone to another company. So what happened, someone had forwarded Kenna's number from T-Mobile to a carrier called Bandwidth that had a Google Voice account linked to it. So all of Kenna's text and calls were being routed to that Google Voice account. So once the hackers had control of his phone number, they began resetting all of his passwords. So that text message verification code were sent to them, to the hackers, instead of Kenna. So within 10 minutes, they changed the password on 2 email accounts, 2 banks, PayPal, 2 Bitcoin services, his Windows account, and about 20 other accounts. So what's worse, Kenna was an early adopter of Bitcoin and actually had millions of dollars worth of it saved on an encrypted hard drive. A few weeks before he got hacked, Kenna moved the Bitcoins online and protected them with 30-character passwords. But once the hackers were able to get in, they were able to move the coins. So he wound up losing millions. This isn't a made-up story. It's a real story that you can actually research. And when it was released, Kenna still did not have control over his phone number back. So how'd this happen? Jared Kenna was missing a crucial security feature on his mobile phone account, a PIN. So we're not talking about the passcode on your physical device, that you punch in, or nowadays they're doing the face verification or sometimes a thumbprint. You should have that as well. But a PIN is used to make any changes to your mobile account online or over the phone. So this means that anytime you call your mobile carrier or go online to your account, you'll be prompted to enter a special PIN before you can add or remove any phone numbers or change any billing information. So you always want to ensure that the weak or critical link is protected. And in this case, it's your mobile phone that is that critical link. And you want to make sure you have all the protections on it that you can put on it. It's really the #1 thing you should do to protect your smartphone from hackers. So I've seen countless examples of this scam happen to business and individuals. I heard of a story, one business where the CFO was targeted. Hackers got in, forwarded his number to their own number with the intention of getting into the company's bank account. They didn't succeed, but it was frightening and took some time to clean up. So to put this PIN on, call your mobile phone carrier and simply ask them to put the PIN on your account. Putting a PIN on your account and your phone, it's similar to protecting the password on your password manager if you use one. So password managers are becoming very popular now because we have so many websites and apps and accounts that we have, and trying to remember the password to each of them is really difficult, especially since a lot of them may force you to reset them every month. So what's become popular are password managers. An example is LastPass, where the password manager manages all the passwords to your different accounts. However, here's another critical link where you want to make sure that password to the password manager is encrypted or has the utmost security that you can put on it. That mobile phone account PIN, it's the same exact thing. You want to protect that with everything you can on it. So smartphone security seems to be a pain point for most people, and that makes sense. Our smartphones hold a lot of data: contacts, pictures, emails, banking apps, social media accounts, notes, calendar, messages, sometimes sensitive work information, and more. And our cell phone number, it's really the one key into our digital lives. Like Jared Kenna, many of us use our phone number as part of our security system. So if you have two-factor authentication set up on your accounts, you know that a special code is sent to your mobile device to complete the login process. If a hacker already knows your password, controlling your phone number is that final step that they need, which meaning a hacked mobile account could turn into a hacked digital life. So the need to protect our smartphones from hackers is obvious. I've been educating myself on cybersecurity as a whole because it affects everyone. We're all worried about a hacker coming in, wiping out our bank accounts clean. And I think one of my duties is to help you protect yourself from these threats. So we have a lot more to cover, and we want to spend some time answering audience questions later. So let's get started now. Just one thing to note, we don't really have time to cover in-depth instructions for all smartphone types, but we'll be given general instructions of iPhones and Android devices. So it may not be exactly the same for your device, but if you do a quick Google search on the action that we go over and your device, you should be able to find step-by-step instructions to actually put the procedure in place. Okay, so number one, protect your mobile account with a PIN. So this is just what we were talking about earlier with Jared Kenna's account. And just as a review for everyone, we're talking about setting up a PIN within your mobile account carrier, not a PIN on your physical device. So anytime you make changes to your mobile account online, over the phone, or in a store, you'll have to provide this PIN. It's essentially like freezing your credit until that PIN is given. Your account cannot be changed. So to set this up, call your mobile carrier, and obviously remember, don't pick a PIN that's easy to guess. So no birth dates, last 4 digits of your social, or last 4 digits of your phone number. Pick something that you'll remember, but obviously something that a hacker won't be able to predict if they can find out information on you. So number two, the second action is you need to lock your phone with a passcode. And here this is where we're talking about your physical device. So a study by Consumer Reports found that 2 million smartphone and tablets are stolen each year. And so that's physically stolen, and millions more are lost. And those picking up your phones, they're curious. So they may, if they're able to get in, they'll sometimes they'll see what information they can get. Symantec did an experiment where they dropped 50 smartphones in common areas like mall food courts, elevators. None of the phones had a passcode. And what they discovered was that 89% of the people who found one on these phones opened personal apps and tried to get into online banking, social media, email. 57% tried to open a password file. So that's that LastPass or that password app that I was talking about. And while 50% of the finders did try and contact the owner of the phone, half of them also took a dive into the owner's personal life. So this is really, putting a passcode on, it's such an easy task, but yet 1/3 of smartphone owners don't protect their device with a passcode. And you want to choose the most secure passcode option that's available to you. So for iPhone users, that means selecting a 6-digit numeric code or that custom alphanumeric code. And to do it on the iPhone, you just have to go to Settings, Touch ID, and then Security. If you have an Android, you can choose between a lock pattern, a 4-digit passcode, or a 16-digit passcode. And a lot of people like using the lock pattern, but security experts warn that it's not that secure. They say that someone who has found your phone could guess the pattern by actually looking at the fingerprints on the screen. So obviously the 16 passcode, character passcode is the most secure option, which on the Android, you can set that passcode up in your settings. This simple passcode, it's simple, but it will protect your privacy in case your phone is lost or stolen. And an added plus of adding a passcode to your phone is that it'll actually encrypt all of the data as well. For iPhones, it's if you're running iOS 8 or later, and Android devices running Android 6.0 Marshmallow. So with this change, neither Apple nor Google can actually access the data on your phone. Only your passcode can decrypt the files. And all right, so now we're going to go on to number 3. Use the Find My Device program. So the way this works is if your phone is lost or stolen, you'll be glad you put a passcode on it, but you'll also want a way to try and get your phone back. So both Apple and Android phones have built-in features that allow you to track your phone, remotely turn it off, and lock your device, and even delete the data that's stored on your device. So for Apple users, this is called Find My iPhone, and it's pre-installed on any iPhone running iOS 7 or later, which I think almost all iPhones have to have, or should have. You can also enable it by going to Settings, iCloud, and then enabling Find My Phone. Android released their Android Device Manager for their devices. So to turn this feature on, just go to Google, Settings, and then Security. And then just one thing to note on this, for both Android and iPhone, you'll have to have your location services on for these features to work. Okay, next, you need to be updating your software and your apps. So a lot of times people are reluctant to update their phone software because they don't want a new operating system that changes how everything looks, or they think that they don't want to be a guinea pig, and when Apple or Google comes out with a new OS, there's going to be bugs in it, and they just don't want to deal with the software problems, so they don't do it. The problem is that the updates, they're not just cosmetic. They also release these updates to close known security vulnerabilities within your device. So putting off the update because you don't want your Messages app to change, or you think you may have to deal with a problem, it's putting security at risk. So as an example, Apple released an update last month that closed some of the security issues, including one that allowed a malicious application to take actually complete control of your phone. The vulnerability would have allowed hackers to add files, delete files, install malware, record conversations, and a lot more. So I think that's one of the things too, is everyone assumes just that the security on these phones, that there's no way that hackers can get on them. Yes, they can install malware, install files on your phone. So, making sure that your system up to date is important. You want to upgrade your operating system when you get that notification that there is a new OS to update. Now, if you have an iPhone, it's constantly telling you that you're running out of storage, you don't have room for the update. Here's a quick trick. You can update your iPhone OS by plugging your phone into your computer, via the USB cable, and then updating it via iTunes. And then you don't have to worry about not having enough storage to be able to perform the update. The operating system is not the only program on your phone that you need to keep updated. So all of your apps need to be updated as well. Again, sometimes it may seem like the update is just cosmetic, but there's a lot of times behind the scenes, there's a lot going on. Hackers can find their way into your phone through unupdated apps. So it's not just the operating system and then getting in generally through the OS. There could be an app on there that they were able to penetrate and get through onto your phone through. So, some of these apps, they seem like they're updating all the time, but a lot of it is, to try and obviously there's features that they update, but sometimes also it's security vulnerabilities that they're trying to patch. So as a note, you only want to be downloading apps from the official App Store from your device, Apple's App Store or Google Play. Apps not sold in these stores, they're not checked for malware or privacy settings, and they could in fact compromise your privacy and security. Okay, number 5, another important topic you need to do regularly to hack-proof your phone is to back it up. You should be backing up your phone 2 places, the cloud and your computer. And the reason why you want to regularly back up your phone, so is if something does happen, so let's say you do download some kind of malware, your phone is hacked. If you have a backup, or what you're going to need to do if that happens, you have to do a factory reset, which is essentially erasing your phone. You really want to make sure, you really want to know that your data is safe in 2 places. Once you clear your phone, you can re-download your data from a backup. And if anyone's upgraded, a phone in some time, this is what you do if you go into, let's say, the Apple Store or where your phone carrier is. You'll get a new phone, you'll upgrade it, and they'll restore it from a backup. So a backup also protects if you lose your phone, we just talked about upgrading, where you'll be able to move everything to a new device. Number 6, your smartphone's essentially a mini computer, and you really need to treat it as such. We all do have antivirus software on our computers. If you have an Android phone, you need to find a good antivirus program for it. Specifically, there's hacks on both iOS, Apple's, and Android, but we're seeing a really high trend of attacks continuing to grow on Android devices. The antivirus program you use for the computer, it may come with some protection for your phone, so you want to check and see if it does offer some mobile protection as well. Some of the highest rated antivirus programs for Android phones, they're Avast, Byte Defender, and McAfee. But just make sure you do your research and make sure you find a program that works best for what you're trying to do. iPhone users, on the other hand, they cannot install antivirus apps on their phone. So in 2015, Apple began pulling antivirus apps from the App Store, saying that its iOS works securely on its own, and you don't need an additional antivirus software. So if you do a search on the App Store, you may see apps for some of the big name antivirus companies. However, those apps are not true antivirus apps for the phone. It's basically downloading an app how you may be able to manage your antivirus account through that app, but it's not actually antivirus software that is on the phone. So instead, you want to do things like put an extra lock on your phone or include that Find Me device feature that we talked about. They don't scan for viruses or malware. But again, the other thing to do, like we said, is just make sure you're keeping your iOS up to date, and that will help keep you protected. Okay, number 7, one of the best things about having a smartphone is you can connect to the internet anywhere, anytime. But that ease of connection can leave you at risk. If you connect to an unsecure Wi-Fi on your device, you're susceptible to hacking and spying. And the opportunity to connect to unsecure Wi-Fi is growing, whether you're at a hotel or at some kind of event or a sporting event, or sometimes you're just walking down the street. You'll see that there are unsecure Wi-Fi networks that you can connect to. What many hackers do is they create spoofed Wi-Fi networks that look like regular legitimate networks that you've connected to in the past, or networks that should be trusted. For example, they may have something that's slightly named, it may say Starbucks or Starbucks One. And when you're in Starbucks and you just think, okay, this is Starbucks, secure Wi-Fi, when in fact you're joining a hacker's network. If you join or connect to one of those, your phone automatically connects. The hacker can, again, install malware on your device, steal data, or spy what you're doing. If you do have to connect to an unsecure Wi-Fi, and which could mean like a public Wi-Fi at your local coffee shop that everyone connects to, you don't want to access any sensitive information, because that just increases the chance that someone can have access to it. So try not to log into your email. Don't do any online banking. Don't enter your credit card anywhere if you're connecting to public Wi-Fis. If you do need to do any of those actions when you're on the go, a better approach would be turn off the Wi-Fi and use your cellular data plan. It basically turns your phone into a hotspot, and you can create a private connection to use. Of course, if you have a limited amount of data, you'll want to obviously monitor that closely to make sure you don't go over any limits. If you do connect on the go a lot, you may want to consider investing in a mobile hotspot device. So these devices can cost anywhere from $50 to $150, plus the cost of wireless broadband. And you just want to treat this device as if it was a wireless router in your house. You put some encryption settings on it, you change the default username, passwords. Another good option is a VPN app, which is VPN is an acronym for Virtual Private Network. And what this does is it creates an internet connection for you to use via the available Wi-Fi. So it's basically an encrypted tunnel from your device to the internet. Again, it's something you want to do research on, just to find one that fits what you're trying to do. But some highly rated apps are NordVPN, Private Internet Access VPN, TunnelBear VPN are just a couple of them. And then actually, if you are using a Nexus phone, you're actually in luck. Nexus devices running 5.1 and above had a feature called Wi-Fi Assistant installed on them. Wi-Fi Assistant automatically connects you to an open Wi-Fi, but it also connects you to a VPN managed by Google. So it doesn't work yet on all Wi-Fi connections, but you can actually enable this feature through settings, Google, networking, and Wi-Fi assistant. And then one of the things too, hackers are increasingly getting onto phones through Bluetooth. So if you're not using Bluetooth, you know, and a lot of times, whether it's connected to our car or our headphones, we are using it a lot. But if you aren't using it, just turn it off. You know, like any unsecured wireless network, hackers can spoof these and sometimes gain access to your phone through Bluetooth connections as well. All right, last, number 8 on the list is encrypting your communications. So in recent years, 60 Minutes did a piece on smartphone vulnerability. In it, they spoke to a researcher who explained how hackers could listen and record any conversation, read your messages, and track your location. And what it is, it's possible due to a flaw in Signaling System 7, which is SS7, it's a virtual global network that connects all the phone carriers together. So it's the system that allows different mobile carriers to exchange billing information and allows your phone to have service when it's roaming. The problem is criminals have found their way into SS7 systems, which allows them to intercept and record calls that are made. So I know there's some people out there that are paranoid when they're making calls. So the reality is, yes, someone could be technically listening to your call. So you do want to be careful with that as well. There are other ways hackers or others can listen to your conversations and read your text messages. They can send you attachments that install malware. They can trick you into connecting to a malicious Wi-Fi network like we talked about. So solution, keep your communications private, encrypt your messages. And I know the word encryption, it sounds, you know, complicated, it scares people, but today's technology has made the process really actually pretty easy. Encrypted messages can only be read by the people communicating in the conversation. So to everyone else, it looks like the message looks like a random characters that are strung together. So Apple's iMessage, which a lot of people are familiar with, used, you know, between iPhones, it's encrypted by default, but only if you're communicating with another iPhone, and there's a proper data connection. So Facebook's messaging system, it's also encrypted if you choose a new feature called secret conversations. So when using Facebook Messenger app, if you click the new conversation button in the upper right and then select secret on the next screen, which I think you'll only be able to do this if you're running the updated or last version of Messenger, and if the person who you're communicating with also has an updated version of the app, which again, it's another reason to update your apps really all the time. So WhatsApp, pretty good privacy, and Signal are other encryption messaging apps that are popular in the security industry. WhatsApp can only be used for messages, while Signal, I think now it has an encrypted calling feature. So it keeps your voice messages secure as well. All right, so these are all actions that you need to take to protect your smartphone from hackers. So again, just to rehash, we have a mobile PIN account, passcodes on your phone, the Find My Phone app, make sure you're updating software and apps, back up your device regularly. You know, I think sometimes if you do want to you may think that your phone is backing up, and in reality, it's not. I've seen myself, I think it's backing up, and then I go check on the backup and it says your phone hasn't been backed up for, you know, a period of 6 months. And there's different reasons why. It may run out of storage or something may have happened. So you want to look and see, why is my phone not being backed up? Or is it, you want to confirm that it is being backed up regularly. You know, also protect your phone with antivirus, use a safe Wi-Fi connection, and encrypt your communication. You know, like all parts of cybersecurity, you need to decide the level of protection you want for your smartphone. So today's webinar, it's about smartphones, but I'm also seeing individuals get hacked a lot via their email. And it goes something like this. A hacker gets into your email account somehow, and they don't do anything. You don't know they're actually in there. So they're just observing for weeks or maybe even months. They see who you interact with. They see how you interact. How do you write your emails? How do people write to you? And then they figure out who you interact with that they may be able to take advantage of. It may be a banker, it may be a financial advisor, an attorney. You know, maybe there's some kind of real estate transaction that you're in process of that they can somehow slip in and have funds diverted to an account that they control. You know, years ago, it used to be, you know, you'd get this email and they'd say it's from a Nigerian prince, and you know, the grammar would be terrible, and you'd look and you'd get a laugh and say, oh, how does anyone fall for this? Those days are gone. The schemes nowadays, they're a lot better. They're a lot harder to really figure out and to recognize. So it is important to be careful. And like I said, we talked about phone security today, but just in general, your cybersecurity is an important, and if you have ever been the victim of it, or if you know someone that has been a victim of it, it's a terrible experience. One of the worst experiences that someone can go through. So you definitely want to be preemptive as much as possible rather than reactive and having to deal with it after a cybersecurity attack happens. So we've covered a lot today, and I'd love to take questions from anyone that we have. So Kira, any questions that are out there?
We do. We have one question, Mark. The question is, how do I best dispose of my phone when I've upgraded and gotten a new one?
Yeah, so this is a really good question, because I think people are nervous to, one, just throw it out, because like, we covered, these phones have all of our data on them. So a couple steps of what you want to do is, first step is restore the device to its factory settings, and the different phones that you have will have different instructions. So my recommendation is go to the phone manufacturer website and just search how do you restore it to factory settings. So whether it's Apple, Android, or Windows, they'll have instructions on how to do that. Step 2 is take out the SIM card or the SD card that's in there, because there's actually data on there. And then depending upon what extent you want to do, or if you're really truly getting rid of this, I know a lot of phone carriers have trade-in programs now that some people take advantage of, but step 3 is to actually physically destroy the hard drive on the phone. So people sometimes take a drill to it. Sometimes people take a hammer to it. You obviously want to be careful, wear goggles, all that safety standards, but I would take those 3 steps to properly dispose of it.
Great, that's it from the Q&A.
Okay, great. Yeah, you can find recordings of our previous webinars on our Learning Center, or even registration pages for upcoming webinars. So that's bautisfinancial.com/learning center. So this one is on cybersecurity, but we've had a lot on financial topics, everything from Social Security to what to do with your 401k when you leave a job, and estate planning. And we're actually releasing these, or producing these webinars every couple of weeks. So our next one is on savvy IRA planning for boomers. In this one, we'll cover strategies about how to best take distributions from your IRA during your retirement years. So that one we're scheduled live for July 15th at 12 p.m. And even if you can't make that one live, if you register, we'll send out the replay on that. So again, thanks for attending, and hopefully everyone got a lot out of this one.